It's not difficult to gather food to take on a weekend overlanding trip. Perhaps the biggest question you face is, how fancy do you want to get with your cooking? And there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube that show folks cooking wonderful meals. But if you're going to be out for weeks or months at a time, it takes a different approach to gathering up food to take with you. Perhaps a good way to do it is to think like a backpacker. A backpacker does not want to carry food that is heavy in their backpack. They don't want to carry food that requires refrigeration. And they want food that is easy and quick to prepare, and food that doesn't require a lot of cleanup. For our overlanding trips, we want foods that are nutritious, lightweight, and don't require a lot of refrigeration. And it needs to be easy to prepare. And the reason for that is you'll find yourself arriving at destinations late at night in the middle of a forest. You'll be tired. It could be raining or snowing, and you just don't want to take a lot of time trying to prepare something. Fortunately, unlike the backpacker, we're not limited in a very tight space to carry things. So we can have a wider variety of foods that we take with us, and a lot more of it. So let's get into it. This is basically what is in those 3 bins, just more of each. So I'm going to run through it just real quickly, not in any particular order. Cassava is a superfood, and it's a powder. You mix it with water, and it's an actual meal replacement. And a lot of times if I'm not making pancakes or biscuits or eggs or those type of things, then I'll have cassava. Or if I arrive late at night and it's dark out and I don't want to get out and start cooking, or it's raining or those type of things, cassava fits the bill. Kailua is something like cassava, and it's a wonderful greens mix. The only downside that I can think of to this is that when you scoop it out, a little cloud of green powder goes up into the air. If you're in bear country or you're worried about animals and stuff, then this may or may not fit the bill. But it gives me an alternative to the cassava. Pamela's is a gluten-free pancake and baking mix. And so I'll use this to make pancakes or biscuits with. Really love it. This I'm really excited about. I used to carry those little square or rectangular cartridges of almond milk, and now this is a powder, so I can make coconut milk with this powder. And I've switched from almond milk to drinking coconut milk. When you make hot chocolate using coconut milk, it is sweeter, and so you don't want to use as much sugar. And for eggs, I have an egg substitute, so it's fake egg, so to speak. It doesn't have any egg product in it. Or we have the real thing. So I have one of these that have egg yolks in it. I have another that is just the egg whites. And so I'm able to make omelets, pancakes, those type of things that require egg products without having to refrigerate that stuff. This is a protein mix from Melaleuca. And one of the things I try to do is make sure I'm getting plenty of protein when I'm out on the trails. The other thing I love about this particular one is a Dutch chocolate flavor. It is wonderful in pancakes. It gives a unique flavor, and I'll throw in some chocolate chips and some of those cocoa nibs. Also from Health Ranger, cocoa nibs or cocoa nibs. These are great just right out of the bag. You can eat a small handful. They're crunchy. I use them in pancakes. That's also a great thing. Definitely have to have some different types of oils with you. Olive oil is a great one. I use it for frying. I'll mix it in with a drink or something to get some fat content. Canned soups of various types. I'm an organic guy, so I always look for things that are organic. I will note that the top on this is one that does not require a can opener, so I find that to be really handy. Different types of dried fruits, you know, everything from apricots to, I've got some cherries here. So those are in bags, raisins, those types of things. In the past, I have taken and dried my own fruit and cryopacked it. So that's an option. Cocoa powder to make hot chocolate. This is a product from Melaleuca and it's called Shakeables. It's something really, I think, for kids, but it's chocolate. It tastes wonderful. I really like the flavor of it. And it's got vitamins and nutrients in it for kids. So I figure, you know, I'm still a kid at heart, so that'll help out. This again is another cocoa drink I'm trying out for the first time. This is from Health Ranger and it's called Cocoa Mojo Organic. Here are a few other things that you might consider for a long extended trip. I met Mitchell in an Oregon forest and Mitchell asked me about electrolytes and he gave me a bunch of these little packets. And Mitchell, if you're watching, I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. There are two ways of getting it. You can get it in these little packets or you can get it in larger containers. I recommend the smaller packets like this because when you open a large container like this, moisture gets in from the air and it causes it to clump up. The other nice thing about these tiny little individual packets is when you tear this off, then you can take any little water bottle and fit this down in and pour it in. I got this particular brand at Walmart. You just want to look for things that don't have sugar in them. I was reading an article the other day about a couple that was traveling in South Africa and going through the desert. They said that they started drinking hot tea during the middle of the day rather than cold sugary drinks. The Arabs down there do that and I think it causes them to sweat and to keep cool. But regardless, it's a great idea to have some teas with you. I particularly like organic ones again, but this dandelion root or dandelion leaf and root tea is a wonderful tea, especially if you have some kind of honey to put in there with it. But just a variety of different types of teas, whatever you like. For hot chocolate, I found these marshmallows that are just delightful. They're kind of expensive though, but they do not contain any sugar. They have collagen and other healthy things in them. I like them so much that I finished the packet. I had several of these packets, and so I'm going to have to buy some more for the trip. I got these at Walmart. You can also get them on Amazon. I have to have chocolate chips with me on my trips because I make pancakes and I like chocolate chips on them. And they're great for just eating by the handful. These I bought at Walmart. You can get non-GMO. In fact, at Walmart at times I found organic ones. And the reason they're organic is because they're using pure cane sugar. So if you see pure cane sugar, it's not a GMO product. I also had several packets of these on my last trip. It's meat. The scary thing about it is it lasts forever, a couple of years. So I didn't eat these. They're good until December, but most likely I will not be taking these again on my trip. Unless I could refrigerate them, I'd feel a little better about that. I know a lot of people like to take instant cocoa, just add it to hot water. Again, this has, well, the ingredients on it are, this is the first ingredient, sugar and corn syrup. You know that this is GMO, and if you're trying to avoid those, not the best idea. But the nice thing about something like this, if you can find ones that are organic or non-GMO, is they're very easy to make. I mentioned earlier that I use a dehydrator to dehydrate fruits, but I also use it to dehydrate vegetables. And these are a bunch of leafy greens that I took and dehydrated, and then I crushed them up by hand. And I put them in little packets and I vacuum sealed them inside of this. So they'll last for a long, long time. And they're great for adding by the tablespoonful to a soup that I'm making, heating up. You can add it to drinks. You can add it to pancakes. You can do whatever you want with it. But it's a great way to get some of those leafy greens into your system. I have a bunch of supplements that I take. And what I found in the previous trip was that instead of having them in separate bags, and I have a lot of them, so let's say a dozen of them, then each day I'm opening every packet up and pulling them out. A better way is to take those little sandwich bags, or actually the smaller ones that you'd put treats in, and before you leave on the trip, in each one of those, put all 12 of those different pills or those vitamins in there, and then you just grab one each day, and it saves a lot of time that way. I usually start off with a bag or 2 or 3 of some type of cereal that I like. This is oats. I'm not particularly fond of oats, but you get the idea. I also carry several bags of quinoa with me. Now, I pronounced it wrong. It's quinoa, but it's spelled like quinoa. And it's an ancient seed that comes from South America, and it has all the essential amino acids in it, phytonutrients. It has just great healthy stuff in it, and it's wonderful. It's a little better than rice, I think. And you can throw raisins into it as you're cooking, just dried raisins, and really makes a nice meal. I sometimes will cook up an onion, fry the onion, and then add that to this. So you can make a big pot full just out of a cup full of this, because it expands as you're cooking it. The things to be aware of is that it does take time to cook, and you're using water, especially in the cleanup part of it. But to maintain your health in emergencies, all those kind of things, this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And the same thing goes for lentils. I like carrying a bag or 2 of lentils with me to cook up. And you can mix the quinoa and these lentils together. It makes a great combination. If you want to get really fancy and make your own soups, you could use the quinoa and the lentils and those type of things. And then one of these Tetra packs of these vegetable broths, or whatever kind of broth that you like, you can take. So because I'm no longer taking almond milk with me, I used to carry 6 to 8 of those in the truck. I'm going to take several of these on this next trip. So what about beef jerky? A lot of people think that can stay unrefrigerated for long periods of time, but if you are camping in hot weather, then you might want to consider not carrying it in your dry food storage bins, but in the refrigerator. The reason for that is that in the temperature range of about 50 to 70 degrees, which is 10 to 21 degrees Celsius, that will stay fine for a few months. But if it's outside of that range, if it's hotter than that, it can spoil more quickly and go rancid. If in doubt, throw it out. You'll want to buy beef jerky that is lean cuts, low fat, low sugar, minimal processing. Just about all of the food that I take with me requires water. What I do is I run all of the water from my 13-gallon Alu-Cab tank that's mounted in the back wall of the Alu-Cab, and I will run that water or filter it through this 5-gallon jerry can water filter. And I absolutely love this. No wait time, filters very fast, filters thousands of gallons of water, and it's very, very rugged. It's really held up well. If you're interested in finding out more about this, I've got a link at the end of this video so you can watch that. And although I prefer the cans for soup, there are some types of soups that you just can't find in the cans. And so I may take a couple of these. I'm particularly fond of butternut squash soup. Having a good clip, bag clip, is really important when you have all these different types of bags. You know, that seal that's along the top that you press and it snaps shut? A lot of times those don't work. And so I'll roll down the top and I'll stick 1 or 2 of these on there. I have bought some of these when I was out on the trip, and you can get some cheap ones that don't really work. Whatever this is, I love them. They do have magnets in them, which I don't use on the trip. But the point is that these are sturdy and they've got a good bit of bite when you clamp them down. So that's pretty much a lot of the dried stuff that I take. You cannot live on this alone without worrying about your nutrition if you go 6 months or whatever. because you need to have live foods. Foods like, fruits and vegetables and those type of things. You may also want bread and make sandwiches with lunch meat and some kind of spread, and cheese, and those type of things. So those type of things, you'll need a cooler or a refrigerator to put them in. And they're something you're going to have to replenish because they don't last forever. Either you're eating them or they just don't last, right? So the way that I handle that is that when I'm in between forests, I'm going from one forest to another or some remote destination. As I pass through a small town, I'll look to find a little grocery store or a convenience store or something where I can pick some of that up. Well, there you have it. Those are the type of foods that I like to take, but I'm interested in knowing what you like to take. Put it down in the comments down below. Be healthy, be safe. Here's hoping that our trails cross soon.